This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
You got me, Celtics fans. You got me. Listen, if I'm going to do this, you're at least going to support my sponsors, okay? This is brought to you by BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first...
You know what? I would say the Dallas Mavericks are going to avoid a sweep and at least win one game, but I don't see that happening. You know, after being up by 10 or whatever they were yesterday and still losing and coming back from down 20 in the third quarter to making it like a 3-point game, it's still the Celtics tried to give that game away yesterday and they still won because they're that much better than the Dallas Mavericks. I don't see the Mavericks winning a single game. Let's double our money right here. $100 on the Celtics on Friday. Lock it in. You can get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 and 10% gamblers insurance over on BetUS. Use the link in my description. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring the channel. Yes. The Celtics have proven me completely wrong. I was saying all season the Boston Celtics are frauds. I was saying all season I don't believe they have a winning mentality. I don't believe Jason Tatum has a dog in him. I don't believe Joe Mazzulla is a winning coach. I don't believe this. I don't believe that. The Boston Celtics are way too good for any team in the NBA right now. Way too good. So Boston Celtics, you got it. Celtics fans, you got it. I was wrong. They've proven me wrong. My relentless hate for the Boston Celtics that's just in my blood would not allow me to admit how good they are. I was admitting that they were good roster-wise. I was admitting that they were good on paper. I kept calling them the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. I kept saying they wouldn't get it done. They are getting it done in sweeping fashion. It's not even close. They are so good. I was completely wrong about the Boston Celtics not having a winning mentality, not having the dog in them, whatever it is. I was lying to myself. I was trying to make myself believe that it didn't matter how stacked the roster was and how well they played the NBA. That it didn't matter, that they were still going to choke, they were still going to lose. The Boston Celtics are way too good. The Boston Celtics did it the right way. They drafted the right way. They made the right draft picks. And they built a strong contender over the past couple of seasons. And then this past off season was the cherry on top that just put them over the edge. I talked trash about the Kristaps Porzingis trade because I said that he would be hurt like he always is. And look, even last night he was hurt. They still dominated. They're still sweeping the finals. They could probably sweep this final series without Kristaps Porzingis. The Drew Holiday trade really put them over the top. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit. If you go back in my videos, when that trade went down, I did put out a video that said the Boston Celtics just put the Sixers out of their misery with that Drew Holiday trade. I thought that trade was just a punch to the stomach or a nail in the coffin to the Sixers and any other Eastern Conference team, and that ended up being right. I mean, that Drew Holiday trade just absolutely put them over the top. So at least I was right about that. At least I was right about how dumb the Damian Lillard trade was for the Bucks from the jump, from the time that trade happened. I was like, that's stupid. They really traded a lockdown, two-way facilitating point guard who won them a championship for a shot chucking 30-point per game player who doesn't play any defense. So I'll give myself a little bit of credit there. I was right there. But, yeah, those two moves just put them over the top, man. And, they did everything right over the course of this whole last 5 or so years of team building. Actually, 2016, Jaylen Brown was drafted. So the past 8 years of team building, the Boston Celtics just did it the right way. And the 76ers did it absolutely the wrong way every single time. We drafted Ben Simmons. They drafted Jaylen Brown. We drafted Markelle Fultz. They drafted Jason Tatum. We stole Al Horford from them and then gave them to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they took him back, and he's still Al Horford. They made the Derek White trade from San Antonio, sleeper trade, incredibly valuable players like that their management understands. The Boston Celtics upper management, first it was Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens being the understudy of Danny Ainge, becoming the GM, and now Brad Stevens takes them to an even higher level with the moves that he made this past offseason. He understands the margins. He understands that, yes, you need star talent, but you need guys like Drew Holiday and Derek White. You need guys like that. These dudes are 6'4", 6'5", strong, really, really, really good perimeter defenders who on the other end of the floor can dribble, pass, and shoot at a high level. Those high-level utility guys are what take you to where the Boston Celtics are right now, because Jason Tatum can have a bad game, Jaylen Brown can have a bad game, Kristaps Porzingis could be injured. And in like the real nitty-gritty of the game, you have plays being made by Derek White, Drew Holiday, Sam Hauser, and they're just so deep, and they did it through the draft, and then they made moves on top of it that took them to the next level. It doesn't feel cheap. I want to give them credit. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like Kevin Durant joining the 2016 Warriors. It doesn't feel like LeBron James going to Miami to team up with Dwayne Wade. It doesn't feel like that. There's nothing you can really say. You can't say they stacked the deck and try to make this argument to make it sound like it wasn't fair like those super teams were. Like even LeBron leaving Cleveland, letting them get Kyrie Irving, and then going back and joining Cleveland was felt a little cheap kind of if you wanted to dig deep with it. You can't say that about this Boston Celtics team. They drafted the right way. They made the right moves. And again, when you look at the front office decisions and the margins, they just understand fit, and they understand how valuable those 3-and-D role players are. And the Sixers upper management has not understood that for a long time, and they're not going to understand that. Joel Embiid tweeted and said, did the Milwaukee Bucks hand the Boston Celtics a championship? Yeah, idiots. You fired your championship-winning coach, and then you traded your championship-winning point guard, and you got worse, and then you hired Doc Rivers. My only fear now is who's going to beat the Boston Celtics in the next 5 years? All we can hope for is the new CBA and the second apron, and eventually they're going to get to a point, I think, in the next 2 years where a lot of these guys are going to demand a lot more money, and they're not going to be able to pay them. That's the only thing that can save us from 5 Boston Celtics championships in a row. The only thing that can save us from 5 Boston Celtics championships in a row is them not being able to pay players like Derek White. Kristaps Porzingis isn't making max money right now. So contract-wise, they did it perfectly. Fit-wise, they did it perfectly. And yeah. The only thing that's going to save us from 5 Boston Celtics championships in a row is probably that. Outside of that, I don't see anybody beating them for a long time, And this started all the way back with Danny Ainge fleecing the Brooklyn Nets and, having a contender at the time who was just in the Eastern Conference Finals with Isaiah Thomas and also had the number 1 pick in the draft from the Brooklyn Nets, which they traded to us, the Sixers, for us to draft Markelle Fultz, for them to draft Jason Tatum. They just did everything right. And it sucks when you watch 10 entire years of a sport hoping that your team did it right. And you finally get to the point, 10 years of your entire life. You finally get there where you say, my team did it wrong. That team did it right. The frustrating part about it is this life isn't very long. You don't get many chances to do that. You don't get many 10-year redos, bro. I'm going to die before the Sixers win a championship, man. You can't fuck up for 10 years and then try again. I'm going to be damn 98 years old by the time this team gets it right. So there you have it, Boston Celtics fans. The Celtics are great. The Celtics are unstoppable. The Celtics are a powerhouse. Nobody in the NBA can compete with them right now. And I don't see how any team in the NBA is going to compete with them in the next couple of years. I know one thing in my heart of hearts. It ain't going to be the Sixers. Y'all have a good one, man. I'm out.